I am choosing not to reinstate spending on my own top priorities. To be clear, I am doing this for one reason alone: to preserve our financial options so that we can make it through this pandemic. I need to be equally clear about the priorities we share. Teachers and state workers still need and deserve a raise. We need to invest more in behavioral health. The cost of tuition is still a major impediment, and it remains important to invest in our transportation system and in access to affordable health care. We all share these priorities, and we will return to them in January when the time is right. Just as our revenues now look better than we predicted when the pandemic began, we expect the December reforecast to show additional improvement about 16 weeks from now. But for that to happen and allow us to return to these shared priorities, our economy must show improvement. For that, we need our businesses, large and small, to survive. I talk to CEOs and business leaders regularly, and many of them are facing real challenges. For example, airline travel has dropped 90%. That affects all the downstream businesses that supply that industry, many of which are based right here in Virginia. Every time that a business closes, people lose jobs and communities lose part of their economic fabric. The pandemic is making businesses at every level rethink how they operate, which could create new opportunities for states looking to bring new business in. Last year, we were all proud that CNBC named Virginia the best state in which to do business. And we are still the best state for business. And as we move forward, we need to remember that keeping employers and jobs here will form the foundation of our economic recovery. I fully intend to implement and carry out the progressive budget that you and I wrote together this past winter. It's the right thing to do, and it reflects commitments we made to the people of Virginia. But we have a crisis before us, so I'm sending you a budget and legislation to address this crisis and the issues it has shined a spotlight on. This package will help people stay in their homes, with $88 million to combat evictions and expand affordable housing. This includes funding the eviction diversion pilot program and making an historic $85 million investment into the Virginia Housing Trust Fund. Keeping people in their homes during this pandemic is a public health priority. That's why we also created the Rent and Mortgage Relief Program, and it's why we've previously allocated money to help people experiencing homelessness. This package will help bring more people online to go to school, to go to work, and get connected. Telehealth. It means $85 million for the infrastructure to expand access to broadband and high-speed internet. People in cities, small towns, and rural areas desperately need this. Here's why. 200,000 K through 12 students and 60,000 college students in Virginia lack access to broadband at their home. This is long overdue, and as many schools prepare to start the school year virtually, their students need internet access to participate. This package will reform policing. It continues the reforms we began earlier this year when we increased the felony larceny threshold, decriminalized simple possession of marijuana, began expanding eligibility for parole, and ended driver's license suspensions that kept people from driving long after they finished their sentences. Now it's time to address the use of excessive force. Start training law enforcement officers better and more consistently with more input from the community. It means civilian review panels with real skills and standards. It means increasing diversity in the Virginia State Police so troopers better reflect the communities that they serve. And it means that when an officer goes rogue, they're out of the profession, decertified. The package that I'm presenting you reaffirms that we need to continue to make it easier to vote, not harder. Voting is fundamental to our democracy. Thanks to legislation we passed in the regular session, photo ID is not required at the polls, and Election Day will be a state holiday. And any Virginia voter can vote early with no excuse, absentee ballots, meaning you can vote early without having to give a reason. Now we need to help people vote safely. That means secure boxes to drop off your ballot, in addition to the standard postal service delivery. If you put your ballot in the mail, the state will pay the postage. All you have to do is turn on the TV to see why this is so important. But please know this. The Department of Elections is already working to prepare to start mailing ballots in just 4 weeks. For these reforms to matter in November, we must make them now. I ask you to move quickly to pass this budget because the stakes are high for our country. To be clear, voting will be safe and secure in Virginia. Your mailed-in ballots will be counted. Virginia will take every action necessary to protect the vote. When people vote, change happens. Virginians voted last fall. They demanded change, and we started delivering. But change doesn't come only at the ballot box, especially when people are hurting. We've seen this summer across America and here in Virginia as people took to the streets with a message that's both simple and profound: change faster. So I'm sending you a package that lifts up Virginia's historically black colleges and universities, funds important cultural sites, and says to the world, this is American history. This package means more students visiting important sites. It means more historic sites and highway markers to tell a broader story. It's time for Virginia to tell the whole story of American history, and I ask you to please approve this package. And finally, my budget proposes investing $15 million for dam rehabilitation projects that can't wait, along with other actions to preserve Virginia's environment. We saw just this weekend across Virginia how important those infrastructure investments are. We had so much rain that 150 homes below a dam in Chesterfield had to be evacuated, and another dam near Pocahontas State Park would have failed had it not recently been upgraded. Flooding in other communities like Stanton and Hampton Roads recently also speak to the fact that water management needs cannot wait. We must be responsible stewards of both the state's money and its infrastructure. Luckily, we are not starting from scratch. We have a base budget in place, and it would still allow us to operate the government, even if we made no changes in the coming months. We also have several options to fund COVID needs: Federal CARES Act dollars, the gray machine funding, and our general fund budget. Additional needs for testing, PPE, and food security will require a large portion of the CARES Act dollars that remain. And as tax revenue from the gray machine starts to come in, I look forward to working with you to decide how we can best use these dollars. My friends, my fellow Virginians, these past few months have been an incredibly difficult time for literally everyone around the world. People have lost jobs. They've lost their businesses. Too many have lost their lives. Everyone is worried about what the future holds, and too many leaders are fanning the flames of anxiety. We need to change that too, and we will. We need to keep people's hope alive. Here in Virginia, we need to plan for the long term, take actions that invest now, and preserve options for what we all hope is a brighter future. We have been making wise decisions throughout this pandemic, and I have faith that Virginia will again propel forward when this pandemic ends. I am proposing a budget and legislative package to make that happen, and I look forward to working with you all to pass these proposals. Thank you, and may God bless all of you, and may God bless Virginia and the United States of America. Thank you.